Most people who try lead generation fail, not because the business model doesn't work and not because the market is saturated, but because they misunderstand what the job actually is. And this happens a lot with people who are trying to escape their 9 to 5. When most beginners start lead generation, they think their entire business revolves around things like running ads, building funnels, writing cold emails, setting up automations, and so on. And while those things do matter, they're not the real reason businesses pay you. The real reason businesses pay you is much simpler. They pay you because you help them make more money. And if you don't understand that difference, lead generation will always be confusing. You'll constantly be tweaking ads, testing new scripts, trying different outreach tools, and wondering why nothing works. But once you understand the real role of lead generation, the entire business model becomes much easier to understand. The mistake most beginners make. The biggest mistake beginners make with lead generation is thinking their job is about marketing tactics. They believe their value comes from things like ad targeting, funnel design, email automation, landing page conversion rates, and so on. And because of that, they spend months learning tools and tactics before they ever talk about a business owner. But from a business owner's perspective, none of that really matters. A business owner doesn't wake up in the morning thinking, I really hope someone helps me improve my funnel conversion rate today. What they actually care about is much simpler. They want more customers, more phone calls, more booked appointments, and more revenue. Everything else is secondary. And the moment you understand that, the way you approach lead generation changes completely. What lead generation actually is. At its core, lead generation is very simple. It's about helping businesses get in front of people who already need their service. Someone has a problem, a business knows how to solve that problem. Your role is simply helping those two find each other. When that happens successfully, everyone benefits. The customer gets their problem solved, the business gets revenue, and you get paid for helping make that connection happen. This is why lead generation is attractive for people trying to leave their 9 to 5. You don't need thousands of customers, you don't need a massive audience, you just need to help a few businesses grow. The problem businesses actually have. If you look at most service businesses, they're actually very good at what they do. A roofer knows how to replace roofs, a dentist knows how to fix teeth, a landscaper knows how to design outdoor spaces. The difficult part isn't delivering the service, the difficult part is getting customers consistently. Many businesses rely on things like word of mouth, referrals, and repeat customers. And whilst those things can help, they're unpredictable. One month might be busy, the next month might be slow, and that kind of unpredictability creates stress for business owners. Because when customers stop coming in, revenue drops. And when revenue drops, everything becomes more difficult. That's why customer acquisition is so valuable. Businesses are constantly looking for ways to generate more leads, more inquiries, more bookings, more opportunities to close deals. And if you can help solve that problem, you instantly become valuable. Why beginners struggle? So if a lead generation is that simple, why do so many beginners fail? The answer usually comes down to two things. The first is overcomplication. Instead of focusing on helping businesses get customers, beginners often get lost in the technical side of marketing. They spend weeks building complicated funnels, designing perfect landing pages, setting up automation tools, trying to make everything look polished before they ever test the idea. But businesses don't care about perfect systems, they care about results. The second reason beginners struggle is that they avoid talking to businesses. Many people spend months learning theory without ever having a real conversation with the business owner. And without those conversations, they never actually understand what businesses need. They're just guessing. And when you build a business based on guesses, progress becomes very slow. A quick story. Let me give you a quick example from my own experience. When I first started learning lead generation, I thought I needed to have everything perfectly set up before I could get a client. I thought I needed a perfect funnel, a polished website, automation systems, a CRM, etc. But that's not actually how things happened. I got my very first client within 3 weeks, and honestly, I wasn't even ready for it. When I got on the sales call, I didn't have everything figured out. I didn't even have my Stripe account set up yet. When the client agreed to move forward, I told them, great, I'll send you the payment link after the call. But the truth was, I hadn't even created the link yet. So after the call ended, I quickly set up Stripe and sent them the payment link. And a little later, I got the notification. $3,000 paid. That was the moment it really clicked for me. Because up until that point, lead generation still felt like theory. But when someone actually pays you for helping them grow their business, everything changes. That's when I realized something important. You don't need hundreds of customers to make real money doing this. Sometimes just a few clients can replace a normal salary. The perspective shift. The biggest shift that successful lead generators make is this. They stop thinking like marketers and they start thinking like business owners. Instead of asking questions like, how do I build the perfect funnel? They start asking questions like, how can I help this business get more customers? That shift changes everything. Because once you focus on solving the business's problem, their tactics become much easier to figure out. You're no longer experimenting randomly, you're working toward a clear goal, helping the business generate revenue. The bigger picture. When you step back and look at lead generation from a bigger perspective, it becomes clear why it's such an attractive business model, especially for people who want another option outside their job. You don't need thousands of customers. You don't need millions of views. You don't need to build a huge audience. Sometimes just a few businesses paying a monthly fee can create a very solid income. 3 or 4 clients paying $1,500 per month is already comparable to many full-time salaries. And as you improve your skills and reputation, those numbers can grow. But the most important part isn't the income, it's the understanding. Once you understand how businesses make money and how to help them grow, you develop a skill that can open many different opportunities. Here are my final thoughts. The reason most people fail at lead generation isn't because the business model doesn't work. It's because they misunderstand the role. They focus too much on tactics and not enough on solving real business problems. But once you shift your perspective and focus on helping businesses get customers, everything becomes much clearer. Because at the end of the day, lead generation isn't really about marketing tools. It's about helping businesses grow, and the people who can do that will always be valuable. Now, if you want to learn how to build a lead generation system step by step, that's exactly why I created my school community, Lead Incubator. Inside the community, I break down frameworks, systems, and templates beginners can follow to launch their first lead generation system. Right now it's $49 per month, whilst I continue adding new training and resources. So if you want help building your own lead generation system, you can check that out. But either way, the main thing I want you to understand is this. Once you understand how money actually moves, building a business becomes much less confusing. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the inside.